I'm truly honored and very excited, delighted to be at this very esteemed platform given by this esteemed college. And the theme which we are going to deliberate, discuss and have insights is Beyond the Final Frontiers. Frontiers are definitely not the walls which block us, they are the doors which we dare to open. TEDx is definitely not just an event to discuss, it is a launchpad where the thoughts are shared. And definitely Shahid Sukhdev College of Business Studies is an academic excellence pioneer, and I am truly honored to be here. Coming to what do the final frontiers mean and how do we move beyond this? Most of us, whenever we think about final frontiers, we think about space, we think about the stars, galaxy and whatnot. But it is not just the space, it is not just the stars. The final frontiers, I truly believe, lies within us. It is within us, the dream which is within us, but maybe we are differing, we are not realizing. And that is why it becomes very, very important for each one of us to understand, to analyze and have those insights that how do we have this immediate realization and of course a long-term realization of what lies within us and how do we improvise and how do we go beyond the final frontiers. Recently we all read about the story of Miss Sunita Williams. They were on a space mission that was supposed to long for hardly 5 days or 7 days. But we all know what happened. They were stuck there for 9 months. If as an individual I visualize what would I have done, definitely got frustrated, got anxiety, or maybe waiting for a phone to send a message to my mother that please send me food, please send me something which I need to survive upon. But no, they did not do. Miss Sunita Williams and Mr. Barry Wilmore, they had the courage, they had the resilience, and it was their emotional strength, it was their adaptability that the world has seen. And therefore we all can very well relate to this, that yes, this is the power, this is the intrinsic power which lies within each one of us. Friends, when I was deliberating on this talk, I kind of developed these 3 frontiers, these 3 mindsets for frontier barriers, which I have termed as 3 I's. And the 3 I's, it is whether the personal, whether the professional, or whether your social landscape. Each one of us will never have a smooth journey. So how do we have those I's analyzed for ourselves? Let us go about this. So the first I which I wrote for my talk is Inquire. Inquire like an explorer. We all have heard one example which I put in here is of Mr. Anand Kumar, the mathematician. He way back in 2000s, 2002-3, he founded the Super 30. We all know that was an initiative in which he dared to help the underprivileged students of getting admission into the IIT. And then of course due to his efforts, lot of students benefited belonging to an economically weaker section of the society. And very well, he was also honored with the Padma Shri Award for his work in education. The second I is improvise. Improvise like a learner, like a grower. This example I can relate with me, that when I was preparing for my civil services examination, way back in 2004, 5, 6, these years I was preparing for my examination, I did not clear the UPSC in my first attempt. And then when I analyzed where I failed, it was actually the mains examination, the second stage, where I scored less. So what I did in my second attempt was analyze why I failed and then improvise how do I move forward. So that is where lies the case, that I analyzed my mistakes, I worked on my strength, and I corrected them. So therefore, whatever success stories of the people around you you see, nobody has success served on their platter, and there would be events of dislocation, apprehension. But what is important, that we have to keep improvising, keep learning and looking for leadership. The third and the very important aspect is, how do you inspire people around you? How do you impact and inspire like a servant leader? When we talk about the styles of leadership, this is a very important style which is being talked about as a servant leader. One example which I mentioned here is Mr. Chewang Norfil. He was very fondly called the Iceman of Ladakh. We all have heard about the climate change issues. We all have heard how the water shortages, especially in those areas, have been affected the human life. He, with his initiatives, he worked innovatively with the artificial glaciers to address the issue of water scarcity in Ladakh region. And in 2015, he was awarded the Padma Shri Award. So this question was not how do I deal with the problem, it is how do I lead and how to inspire people to become part of this change. That is very, very important. Before we move forward, this is one very important aspect that we tend to ignore. And when we talk about mental health is definitely one barrier which maybe we are not analyzing, realizing. And also one important aspect attached with mental health is, which I would relate to it later, is emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. When friends, I was in 2004, I started my preparation for UPSC. I was also doing my job as a company secretary. I was also doing my law, so attending my law classes. So it was not easy to manage time, it was not easy to focus on what I wanted to achieve. There were issues of time management, issues of societal pressures, me belonging primarily from Panipat district, Haryana. So we can all imagine, like 20 years back, girls' education was not a priority. And similar was the reality in the family in which I was born. So lot of issues were there, but what I feel that how could I survive was that I prioritized my whatever time was available with me, and mental health was definitely one of my core which was with me, and I was not chasing others' dream. What I was chasing is what I thought was best and was essential for me for serving the society and the nation. So therefore I written that I was breaking the barriers of patriarchy deep rooted in the society, and the situation was not easy. But what kept me moving was my inner passion, was my inner instinct to excel. And therefore, friends, mental health is actually not a luxury. It is an imperative. If we are feeling exhausted, it is very much important to take rest. Seeking help denotes your strength. Joy is very much essential, and rest is productive. Any field we are working upon, empathy, compassion is very, very important. Mr. Daniel Goleman, the philosopher who mentioned about this theory on emotional intelligence, he has mentioned 5 components, which are self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, motivation, and social skills. So friends, these are very important, and just think of it. Whether when we talk about AI, when we talk about ChatGPT, whether all these data algorithms, they can replace human mind, I definitely feel no. AI can write your emails, but it cannot help you soothing a friend who is in need, who needs your help. When friends we are talking about your frontier, breaking the final frontier, this is a term which I always share with the students, that what is the shikhar within you? What is your shikhar? What is your peak? And what is the journey which you are willing to take into? So the real shikhar is internal, it is intrinsic. And the challenge lies It is not it is not about how high you climb, but how deeply you are rooted. It is not about the titles, but your truth. It is not about the applause, but about authenticity. So it could be anything, loving your art, finding inner peace, or maybe helping someone. Whatever is your journey, that motivation has to come from within. I briefly mentioned earlier about my journey into civil services. So primarily this was the reason that I shifted corporate sector from corporate sector to civil services, because it was my inner motivation, which I realized very much later. It was only towards the last year of my graduation that I read about civil services in the college magazine, and then I decided that I have to kind of attempt the civil services examination. But the family which I come from, when I discussed this with my parents, there was no acceptance, because this question came that why this shift now? You are already about to start your corporate professional career. Why you want to shift now? So this discussion went on for 5-6 months, and then my father said, okay, if you want to do, you do, but you should have a plan B in your life. So discussing about the plan B, my father suggested that even if you are not able to clear civil services, then what will you do? So that is why after I completed my graduation, I did my enrollment for LLB, Delhi University. I started my classes. I also started my CS. Because my CS was complete, I also started my job as on part-time basis, and I started my civil services preparation. So this journey of coming into civil services and then serving across different parts of the country, especially I was working in Tripura and Haryana, it actually made me understand that the shikhar, it actually lies within us, and it is how do we align this with the extrinsic environment that will determine whether you are successful in what you want to achieve in your life. Failure is one important point I want to emphasize upon, because many students, they think that if they fail, then it is a finish off. No friends, it's not a finish off. Any person we admire today, Mr. Ratan Tata, Mr. Steve Jobs, Ms. J.K. Rowling, everybody faced failure. But now we all talk about their success stories. So success automatically will not come to you. If you ever face failure, you have to learn, analyze, and move forward. And this is also a very important terminology, not yet. Not yet means the door is not yet closed. And are we not living in the world where we are living for instant success, viral fame, and overnight wins? But what is important is that we have to keep telling ourselves that even if you are not there, you are on the way, and that is enough. You will definitely reach there. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, if we talk about mentors, if we talk about coach, if we talk about the personalities whom we derive inspiration from, I visited his birthplace in the month of December 24, and I was amazed to see the house where he was born, his school and his memorial. From a humble background, he rose to become the President of India. He faced failure in not qualifying to join the Indian Air Force, but then he led the space missions in DRDO in ISRO, and therefore he is very well called the Missile Man of India. So definitely we need to realize that what we are today and what we want to become, it all depends on our mindset, on our efforts, and in what strategy we work upon. Social media, friends, is one aspect we all tend to use, but my only request is that do not use it too much. Be aware of what you are reading, what you are sharing. We have vulgar content threads, we have obscene contents, we have hate spreads. Do not lose yourself into it. Use social media as a positive tool, as a canvas to express, and not a mirror to judge. Do not be bothered about how many likes you are getting. This is a trap. So we, as a younger generation, we have to be aware about it. And then this is a very important point which I want to emphasize towards the end of my talk, which is the power of collaboration, the power of collective frontiers. As a nation, we are looking for sustainable solutions. We are all talking about climate change. We are all talking about the issues which we as a country are facing. So the power of youth lies in how do we align our ends with the requirements of the society. And you are not just the future, you are the now. We definitely cannot be thinking about what will happen at Mars, but we have to think about how do we improvise the condition in we are living in Earth, and how do we improvise it for the upcoming generation. And when we talk about collective collaboration, collective frontiers, as an officer I can share that whether it is the remote areas of tribal hamlets of Tripura, wherein I started working in 2009, or whether it is the society deep-rooted patriarchy of Haryana, wherein I worked in 2015-16 for 4 years. So I can very well say the one important aspect, if you want to excel, if you want to succeed, is your power to collaborate. It is your power to inspire people around you. It is your power to actually connect and also inspire change within the mindset. So therefore it is important that when we are talking about Shikhar, when we are talking about leadership, leadership is not only about commanding, it is about connecting, and true leadership is a collaboration of inspiring and empowering people around you. And so friends, as I conclude, what is my final wish or my final take for you? I am not here to say that yes, this you should do this, you should do that. What I want you to request upon is that chase your purpose and try to build a life which is purposeful, because purposeful life is definitely more meaningful than a popular life. Keep challenging your own limits, challenge your own limits, and whatever path you choose, let us all make sure that whatever goals we set for, they are aligning with the needs and requirements of the society, of the country around. So that is a point which I would like you to leave upon, to think and deliberate within yourself, that what is your final frontier, and what are the eyes, what are your eyes which you want to take upon, and how do you inculcate those strengths in you, and how do you go beyond your final frontiers. Thank you so much friends for having me over here. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.